Welcome back to The Manage Her, the podcast where we turn the invisible work of women into visible leadership. I'm your host, Aimee Rickabus. Today's guest is someone whose work truly changed my life. I first heard Julie E. Health speak on stage at the Elevate conference, and one thing she said stuck with me: keep your head on the pillow for 5 straight hours a night. That one shift transformed my sleep, my mood, my energy. Julie E. Health is a functional and energy medicine practitioner, author of the No Diet Diet, and founder of Julie E. Health, a clinic and online educational portal where women learn to heal themselves and care for their families with confidence. Her mission is to teach moms to do it themselves through simple, science based tools anyone can use at home. Here's my favorite part: Julie raised a son who's now 20 years old. He's never been sick, never missed a day of school for illness, never been injured, and has never needed a traditional medical doctor. He was raised on health, not fear. Julie believes managing your family's well being doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. It just takes curiosity, consistency, and a willingness to learn. Julie, welcome to the Manage Her. I am so excited to talk about what it means to manage our health like leaders.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much. I love that introduction. Thank you. And I love your enthusiasm about it. You brought me to a tear.
It's important. I think when we think of leadership and management, we don't really think about health all the time. But without your health, you don't lead well, you can't manage much. And health is one of those critical things in our life that we really need to take seriously. So I'm really glad to have you on the show today. So you've built your entire practice around education, teaching women how to take care of their family's health at home. Why was that teach mom to do it yourself model so important to you?
Well, first of all, I believe that health is wealth. No one helped me when I was younger, and no one helped me figure out life. And it's just became this thing that I do that's just health and wellness. And I figured it out. And at first, it was just a job. I started teaching fitness in high school, and that was kind of where it all started. And then it was like, you're in your 20s trying to make a living. And so it was definitely like a job figuring it out. But I knew from the very beginning I was never going to work for anyone else. I don't know why. I just couldn't do that. And I was always just going to do it my way to help people. I think once I became a mother, it just made sense to me to teach moms and other women. I remember now, I was at the grocery store. I was at Whole Foods. My son was probably like 4 or 5. And there was a with me, and there was another mom with her kid in the cart, and the other woman's child wanted blueberries, and the mom was like, "No, we're going home to have dinner soon." And, like, the thought that came over me was like, blueberries are, like, one of the healthiest foods you could possibly eat. What are you gonna feed him at home that's more important? And, like, knowing what busy moms feed their kids, I was like, "Why would you say no to your kid? He's starving." First of all, it's a healthy food. Second of all, think of it like an appetizer for the meal. Third of all, like, when kids are not hungry, they're nicer and they're easier. And so that I made a video out of that back in the day for my first YouTube channel, I guess. It just kind of blew me away of like how women were clueless. Like, no offense to anyone listening, but like we're all caught up in our own things. And when you have kids under the age of 5 or 6, like you might not even have your brain on correctly. You might not have slept well that night. You're overwhelmed with everything. Cause I for sure was when my kid was that little. I remember seeing moms that looked like they had it all together and they looked great. And I'm like, oh, you have teenagers. So like by the time my kid's a teenager, I'll look normal. I was like, and I'll think normal and I'll have my brain on. That's what I was thinking back then. And so it just became an organic thing to start teaching women and moms. And they're really the ones that started coming to see me for health. Women are the ones that rule. Women do more and women care more about their health. So it was just that at least 80% of my clients were women. And if they had a kid, I was like, oh, try this with your kid, or put this on the table, or do this. And so then they started bringing their kids to see me. So it really came out of an organic nature, I guess, of just being a woman and a mom.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, when you're a mom, it just seems like most of my women who are on the show, the story always goes, and I was raising my kids and I sort of needed this thing, and a lot of it is just so organic where we're drawn to with our businesses when we have our little kids. They really kind of take us through whatever we're supposed to be doing, I guess. They lead us in the direction. And I love that about kids. But you often start with three foundational steps: the biofield, detox organs, and scars or dental work. Can you walk us through why those are the first systems to manage?
In a way, they are everything. That so this is my 40th year in practice, and I have numerous different training, certifications, degrees, etc. You get better at things not just from your education, but from practical experience. And so that's what I have shrunk down what everyone needs to do to their health or for their health into these three steps. So the biofield, I'll explain them all in short, and if you want to go into any of them or all of them, we can do that. But the biofield is like your aura. It's the people know the term aura. It's like your personal space. It's the area around you. And the saying is that when the biofield is intact, healing is limitless. That just makes sense to me to be like, this is where we got to start, especially in today's world, because the biofield, you can't see it, right? It's an energy thing. It was discovered in the 70s. It's a plasma energy field. So this could be like a plasma TV or computer. You can't see the plasma, but sometimes you bring your hand close to it and you're like, whoa, it gets hot in a certain place. So sometimes you could feel it, but you can't see it. The biofield, when it's intact, healing is limitless, but things in this world destroy the biofield. Number one thing that destroys the biofield, the phone.
Mm.
So that's why it became number 1 because I can do an hour of equipment and biohacking and lasers and nutrition and whatnot with people, and then as soon as they pick up their phone, everything undoes like that. And so in order to truly heal, we need to remediate our phones and we need to build a biofield. The things that build a biofield are electrolytes and minerals and when you remediate your devices. So I will just show you what I have on the back of my phone. It's a little sticker, and
Oh,
the newer ones are even thinner than mine, but you could see it's
ooh,
pretty thin. The
that's
first one
nice.
the first ones were like the size of my thumb, like, it was, like, giant, and, like, I would have
I
to get it.
have I have a very lumpy one on my phone, yeah. I have a very, like, mine kind of sticks up, which is kind of a pain, really.
Yeah, the
Yes.
first ones, my friends used to make fun of me, and I'm like, "Well, I like my brain, so I'll keep the bump on the back of my phone." But over time, because I've been using these since 1999, so over the past 26 years, they've evolved them to be thinner. I mean, I guess I can go into it a little bit. This particular one, so I do energy testing, which we could talk about also, but it's where you so we do an O-ring, so someone will make their circle, like an O, and then I'll be over there and I'll touch their hand and they'll touch their body. And sometimes the O-ring like stays together and sometimes it comes apart. So when it comes apart, that part of your body has no energy. And when it stays together, there's energy. So you want every part of your body to have energy. But when we bring the phone near you and we do the O-ring, we can't find energy anywhere. Let's say when someone's phone is not with them, we find their lung is weak. This particular the one that I use, the Q disc, when this is on the phone and you put it near the person, the weakest link is also strong. So it doesn't just remediate the phone, it act like the harmful, it turns all of your weak links into stronger parts of your body. I don't know that I've tested the one you have, but I've tested many and most of them don't do that. So when you a sticker on your device, you remediate your biofield. Super easy. That's why it's step 1. It's like when people ask me, my cousin has this, or my brother, or my son, or my spouse, or whatever has, what should they do for this? I'm like, put a sticker on their phone, starting place. Super easy, right?
Super easy. Well,
You buy
yeah.
an $11 device, you buy a $70 sticker, done. It's on the device for the life of the device, and you never think about it again. And now your device is healing you. So
And we
that's
forget that humans are electromagnetic. We are electromagnetic beings. My mom has a degree in organic chemistry, and that's one of the things I grew up just, knowing that we would have very extensive scientific conversations growing up. But, we forget that these things, these electronics are interfering with our electrical field because
right.
every body has an electrical field around them.
Right.
Yes.
And so your body is an electric field, the earth is an electric field, and then when they put a cell phone tower and another one and like 15 devices in a home or in an office or you're in a building like a hotel and everyone's got 2 to 4 devices, it's literally like there's like this chaos around you. It's like the air has ADD, so like how could I possibly stay calm? That's a little bit of a tangent on the topic, but the idea that like this is all around us, we're getting fried where it's like living inside a microwave, right? And
Because these are microwaves, and there was a study out of Russia that was done in 1968 that proved that microwaves break hydrogen bonds, and so it's just curious, to me, I'm like, "Wow." My husband went to the World Series game last night in LA, and he's, "Oh, so, cool game," but I sat on top of a wireless access point, and he said he could feel the heat, like, underneath him. He said if the whole time he just felt really hot, like he was getting microwaved, and I'm like, "Well, yeah, you were, you definitely were."
made
But
so
that's
much
the world
sense.
we're living in now. Yeah.
Yes, that is the world, and so my tagline, "Simple health solution." When you put a sticker on it, then you never have to worry about it again. In fact, I actually have my clients, take their phone and put it on their head and take a few deep breaths. The sticker on the phone actually turns your phone into a healing tool. This sticker, again, I wanna make sure it's not all stickers, it's this Q disc. I can't some others might, but I haven't tested one that does. If someone is weak and then we do this, and when we test them afterwards, every part of their body is strong. So it's like the way that I have my clients think about meditation or when they're busy, or like if your husband was there and he had this in his pocket, it would at least be somewhat of a shield. It's like somewhat reflecting all the things around you. And the World Series, a concert, Times Square, Vegas, like all the places. I used to know someone that worked pretty high up at like one of the phone companies, and they said they roll in extra, like, Wi-Fi when we're all there. Like, great, because we complain when our phone doesn't work. So, if you're gonna have the phone, don't worry about it, just remediate it. There's numerous things we can do to remediate. If you could see this picture, this is like a little spaceship looking thing,
Yeah.
and this gets plugged in, and it puts a quantum field over a quarter of a mile, and it basically protects all living beings, pets and humans, in your house. That's the shortcut to remediate your whole house. And then you don't have to worry about every little device. If you blow dry your hair every day for like an hour, you're putting that electricity right next to your head all the time also. So you think about which things are going to affect me the most, which ones do I spend the most time with, and you focus on that. But if I'm working with somebody one-on-one, they have to at least do their phone. Ideally, they do their tablet and their laptop or computer as well. And then everything that we do, they start healing exponentially from. So especially when people come to me after working with other functional medicine doctors, or they come in and they're like this, and they're like, I've been to 10 other practitioners. What are you going to tell me that's different? And I'm like, did anyone put a sticker on your phone? And they're like, no, what's that? So, like, I already know that they'll start healing, as they might have done all the work. They've done the detox and the dental, taken out their metal fillings, whatever they've done for their hormones, their digestion, everything, but they haven't put a sticker on the phone, and that's one of the things blocking them from healing. When your biofield is not intact, a lot of people know what leaky gut syndrome is, so that's what I think, make it like a synonym. It's like leaky field, and when you have a leaky energy field, we get false positives and false negatives, like if we were doing a lab test, or if someone was like, "Well, my head hurts." Well, when their biofield is off, their head may be off, but that may be what they're feeling, but the problem is coming from somewhere else. And when we turn their biofield on, we find the real root of the problem. So that's why that has become step number 1 for me, because it's only growing bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, there's more people, there's more devices, and now everyone doesn't just have a phone and a laptop, they also have a tablet or AirPods or a watch or a ring or a something or their car. Like it just, we're growing in how many devices one person has. And it doesn't just affect them, it affects you when you're around them or when you go with them somewhere. And now the beaches have Wi-Fi, and now, like, you can't go anywhere. You get annoyed if someone doesn't have Wi-Fi that's good enough, you know? The airplanes, we're all pissed when the airplane doesn't have Wi-Fi, like, we want it, so we might as well just remediate it, right? And then it's, like, not a big deal, you
Yeah,
know?
I love it. So what's step 2?
Step 2 is your detox organs. So think of your car. You take such good care of our cars, all of us do. We get an oil change every 3,000 miles, or else what? The car might not run as well. It's a little more sluggish, it's heavier. And then because it's thicker and clotted, maybe like other problems start to happen, like other things break down. In your body, your oil change is your detox system. We're living in toxic soup, it's everywhere. There's chemtrails and there's red dye, yellow dye, pesticides, there's Roundup, whatever, all the stuff like that's everywhere. Whether you choose to have it or not, you're getting it and it's going on and in your body, up your nose, in your ears. You're getting exposed to toxins. And so we have to do a good job at detoxing because if we don't do a good job at detoxing, the toxins store in our body. And depending on the type of toxin is where it will store. Hormone sensitive will probably store in the gonads. Other types will go to the brain if they can cross the blood-brain barrier. Other ones store in the lymph or the boobs. You know, like there's just so many different types of toxins. And we have become somewhat hip at understanding the word detox, but the media and the people in the public have blown it out of proportion and incorrectly so. If you do a detox program today, what you find out there at the juice bar or in this on this one influencer or that one or a store, it's usually addressing the liver and sometimes your intestines. But when we add it up, there are 11 components to the detox system. There's liver, gallbladder, kidneys, which are two, small and large intestine, which is the size of a tennis court, stomach, pancreas, spleen, and the lymph, which is dispersed throughout the entire body. I think I got them all in there. And so that whole system, if it's not flushed regularly, one or more parts become sluggish. I do energy testing, as I've mentioned, with the O-ring, and whether the client at their first visit is 2, 5, 20, or 50 or 70, more 6 or more of their detox organs are not working usually. It is rare that I don't think I've ever had anyone with all of their detox organs working at their first visit. And so the
Wow.
average person, yeah, it's a big deal. 'Cause what's the average person thinking? They're like, "I got a detox. Why I just did a detox program, but I feel fat," or "Why am I constipated? Let me do another detox." Well, if you're doing a detox, but your kidneys are not working, like, you're not really filtering it out, it becomes brain fog, or it's just storing in your low back, and then you're like, "My back hurts, and I'm doing everything right. Why don't I feel good?" And it's because a part of your system is clogged. And so I gave the detox system a nickname. I call it the assembly line because
Okay.
you know how an assembly line works? Basic?
Yeah, sure, right? Kind of one step leads to the next, right?
Exactly. But what happens if one guy doesn't show up for work or one woman doesn't show up for work? There's backup. So if
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't poop, there's backup all the way. Like pooping is the end of the assembly line. So everyone knows when they don't poop, but they don't know when their kidneys are backed up or when their lymph is backed up. I teach different like symptoms about the different organs so we can start to learn that, but it all the time in children, like all the time their kidneys are not working. They're so overexposed as little ones, right? And their bodies are so little and they get so much toxins, especially if they eat candy or they eat junky food that or pizza or, you know, whatever they're eating that's, like, not organic and not clean, which is even when you eat organic and clean, you're not getting organic and clean food anyway, not anymore. So sad.
Yeah, it's
So
so hard. It really is. It's so hard. I mean, I think of my kids and I try so hard to make sure that they're eating clean and organic and still, someone's going to come in the house and bring something that that isn't or they're going to be get it at school or they're going to, when they're out in the world wherever they are, they're going to get it. So,
like a food
it's
thing and or a cold thing, right? Like they might
yes.
And so that's why, again, a simple health solution is you're just for the rest of our lives, step 2 is really it's a seesaw between step 2 and 3 for the rest of our lives, and which one's more important? It's like on a daily basis, it's the detox system. And so if your detox system is not working, of course, when the smog blows on you or someone coughs in your face, you're gonna get a cold because your immune system is low because 'cause you're not flushing and you're not getting rid of the waste. Your body is not doing a good job at processing it, so more waste comes your way by nature of another kid coughing in your face, and now you're sick. And then you go home and you're coughing on everything and just spreading germs. If your child coughs on you and you get sick, it's not really your child's fault. It's whatever's going on in your body. It's a lot to manage all of the
Yeah.
kids and what's going on in everyone's health. I just have parents give kidney support to kids. If the kids have here's a little thing, if young kids have black and blues on their shins or bruises, their kidneys are off. I don't know exactly why scientifically, but I see it all the time. When their kidneys are off, I think it's the other way around. Like when the kidneys are off, their equilibrium's off and they fall and they bang. So the kid that's klutzy on the soccer field or drops stuff, that's a sign of kidneys being weak and when something's off, my word off, like if the kidneys are off, it means it's weak or tired or they are. And what does that mean? It could be nutrient deficiency, an environmental toxin, a bacteria, a virus. It could be coming from somewhere else in the body. Like if you had an injury to your hip, it could keep taking off your kidney because it's right next to it to just strengthen kids, to give them liver and kidney support ongoing on with a rotation, like a couple of times a month. And if they start to come down with a sniffle, we give kidney support and maybe core olive leaf is a product I have a lot of families use. It seems like 90% of kids, no matter what they have, core olive leaf works. It's a liquid tincture. Um, Olive leaf is an antiviral. We use it in adults to get rid of herpes and other infections and, viruses that a lot of people have recently had. Olive leaf
That's
seems really
cool.
so if you have, like, your staples of your nutrition support, like, I call it a holistic medicine chest, like, move over Neosporin and cough medicine, move in castor oil, olive leaf, and a couple of other nutrients, and you just start popping them as needed, when someone's starting to go a little downhill, there's, like, a rotation, and for kids and adults alike, there's to go into the supplements a tiny bit more, I think of it like in your vitamin cabinet, you have on the bottom shelf, this is what my today body needs. You have on your middle shelf, this is what I need a few times a month. Like that's where the core olive would go. And on my top shelf is like, this is what I haven't been taking, but my body loves when I need it. Like, and so if you think of your supplements or your superfoods in that way, you have to master it for yourself, and then you can start doing it for your kids because that's why I always treat the parent even if they're just bringing the kid for the kids session because if you don't understand it and you don't go, "Oh my god, I feel so much better," or "Without that, I felt foggy," like, you're never gonna understand how your kid feels because they can't explain it. They can't tell us, like, "I feel foggy today." They just act like a dick. I mean, or
Yeah, exactly. No, and I know because or you're working with kids that are not really highly verbal yet. So you're like 2-year-olds, my kids
I
like,
have a
"Where
kid
does it hurt?" And they're like, "I don't know."
right.
Okay." It's like, "I don't feel good." "Okay." So, like, "Do you have a headache?" They, like, don't know what any of the specific words are. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice when you kind of, I don't know, a lot of times I'll try to feel what they're feeling, like, "All right, do I have a little tiny bit of this? Can I tune into myself and see, you know, or I try to get like the broader symptom because, I've been working with naturopathic medicine since I was in junior high school too. And that's why I love you, Julie. I get it because you go into my friends go to my house and they know that there are herbs and there are vitamins and minerals and superfoods and all of these different things that I use, to heal this busy house of 7 people that live there. And it's a constant healing going on. But I'm gonna bring Indy in because my 4-year-old, definitely has the kidney thing going on. She's clumsy, she's got the bruises on her shins to prove it. Yeah, we'll bring her in to see you for sure.
Right.
Yes.
Well, to go a tiny bit more, when my son was little, well, first of all, there is a circadian rhythm that happens while you're asleep. And so we're still talking about not step number 2, the
2.
detox system. What There's a circadian rhythm, like you eat and you exercise, you do all your stuff during the day, and you go to sleep to rest and repair. That's what we say. And so I saw this crystal clear with my son when he was a baby. He woke up at 3, which is the hour of the liver, and I gave him some liver support the next day, or even probably at 3 AM. He went back to sleep. The next night, he woke up at 4, which is gallbladder, so I gave him gallbladder support. The next night, he woke up at 5, which is the kidney. I gave him kidney support. The next night, he woke up at 6, which is intestines, so I gave him intestinal support, and by then, I started figuring out, like, "Oh my god," like, I'm watching it go through his detox system, and at the same time, I also he was a little pudgy under, like, he had, like, almost a double chin at that time, and when we were done with this, it was flat again. So it was
Wow.
literally this is where we store toxins in the parathyroid gland, which is under here, and if you've had a lot of dental work, sometimes that's what this is, because there's some skinny people with a big turkey neck or whatever you wanna call it, or extra stuff.
Yeah.
It went from the side, like, when there's nothing there, your detox system is probably working well, especially if you're kinda lean elsewhere. So I watched my son go from pudgy underneath to having nothing as I watched it go through the entire assembly line, whatever it was. We treated it, and then it was gone, and then he was normal again, and then he was fine. That's how this assembly line kinda works, and so when you start to learn, like, now pooping is the intestines, which everyone knows, klutzy is the kidneys, the liver, they call it the angry liver. So anger, like, or instant road rage, or it doesn't have to be instant, but anger or depression are the symptoms of the liver. And so if you sit here and you do absolutely nothing for 24 hours, your liver, at least in LA, gets about 70,000 hits a day. And your liver is playing whack-a-mole, like, with all those toxins. And the liver is like giant, and then the gallbladder is like the size of my fist. So how do you take all of this stuff and shove it into this little area? Like, it gets jammed and there's like a little traffic jam. And so if the liver is like as big as my hand, and then maybe even like if my hand is the liver, this is the duct that goes from the liver to the gallbladder, which I guess we could say is like almost this big. So stuff can get jammed in the neck of the gallbladder or in the gallbladder, and it still backs up to the liver, and you're still angry or irritable. So that's why it's whatever's coming in, but also you have to address the different parts of the assembly line with some regularity. Because on the other side of the gallbladder, it joins with the pancreas, and it goes with the common bile duct to the small intestine. So if your intestines get backed up, it could back all the way up to the liver and gallbladder. So that's why, like, when you have angry liver, the question is it the liver? Is it the gallbladder? Is it the kidneys or the intestines? Like, we just need to start pooping to clear it out. And so when my child was little, I'm sure he'll love that I'm talking about this. I gave him an enema. The first time I gave him an enema, we did it probably 2 or 3 times. He was so little. I You have to be careful if you're doing this at an age maybe like 7 or 8, but when they're younger, you can get by with it. But when there's a fever, 100% of the time, the fever goes down after an enema. And so what does that say? That means that whatever's giving them a fever is in their intestines. And so if you clear out the intestines, you can either give them something that'll make them have to poop a ton, or you can put some salt water into their tush. So my son was like this big. I laid him on the counter in the bathroom in front of the mirror with pillows and blankets and just good, clean, warm water, like filtered, etc., with salt and just little gentle, a little castor oil on the tush. And I just slowly dripped some salt water into his butt. He went from like to, like, bouncing up and down in, like, 15 minutes, like, jumping around the house like nobody's business, like, he had, like, no fever in the snap of my fingers. It was pretty amazing. So,
Wow.
super cool, like, think about all the kids that eat crappy food. I'm sure they're constipated, or, like, they don't chew enough, and they swallow fast if they're in a hurry, and so they're not digesting, or from all the other things on the planet, like, they don't have enough digestive support, from injecting things to medicines to whatever, like, anything is game of, like, how much digestive support does each child need? Everyone's different, and so we can give probiotics, we can give prebiotics. The younger they are, you have to be really careful which ones you give. After the age of, like, 2.5, they can get almost any probiotic, but the first couple of years, you don't give certain probiotics for botulism and other reasons, but after age 2.5, you can start to give a little bit more probiotics, prebiotics. Around age 13 is when kids can start taking adult remedies or adult dosages. So somewhere between 10 and 13, because depends on your kid. If they're like mature or grown or big, you could start giving them a little bit more. But when they're little, you give like a drop or three or whatever you need to just get everything flowing. My son was 1.5, and we had moved into a house, and within 2 weeks, we both had asthma. I learned that the house had mold. That was my first experience, and so we were taking nutrients and detoxing from mold, and of course, they did this big fancy remediation. When he was during COVID, he was, like, 15. Right before COVID, he had, like, no energy, and I was like, "Go for a run or go ride your bike." He's like, "My legs hurt." And so I found out there was mold again. And so now I don't know, did we live in mold that whole time and not know it? And it really got to both of us to such an extent, but we were doing all this health stuff that we didn't feel it. Or did we just have mold again? I'll never know. When you're not motivated and you have like no energy, this is a real thing in kids today too, not just adults and perimenopause, but it's sometimes not your body, it's the environment. So now I have everybody test their house for mold every 18 months maximum, especially in California.
Yeah.
Then we run a lab test on people that were questioning if there is or not mold. It's an organic acid test. It's a P test. You can run it on kids, you can run it on adults. You can figure out, do my cells work correctly, and or are they struggling, and in what areas? And we deduct out of what things are wrong if there's mold or bacteria or yeast or fungus. Super easy to do. 300-ish dollars, super affordable. So anyone that's struggling should absolutely order that test on my website or with another practitioner. So because of that, my son was on like nutrition support at a young age, like some functional nutrition. When he was really little, we called it the yucky bite. Like I would put like 10 different supplements in like one little bite of like a coconut yogurt, and I would be like, dude, if you don't eat this, you can't have any other food. Like, like, get it into whatever nutrition I wanted him to have, like, the basics, like some minerals, some greens, like, and the truth is, and I'm saying this to all moms, like, it almost doesn't matter what else they eat if you get the nutrition in them that they need for their system to work correctly so that they can detox and they can digest and they can clear stuff out. When he was really little, we were syringing it in. And when I had a nanny, I was like, you can't leave until he gets all of that. Like, I don't care what you do, but get it in his mouth, like put your people to work for you. Like, he
Yes.
wanted from me. He wasn't going to take it from me, but he takes it from the nanny. And so then it became all the way literally up until, like, he started swallowing vitamins. He didn't wanna swallow them, so he didn't start swallowing till he was, like, 15 or 16. So I was like, "Here's your yucky bite, deal with it, and, like, no food unless you eat this." So you do what you need to do to keep your car working, and you have to do
Yeah.
what you need to do to keep your children's bodies working. It's just how you do it.
You really do, yeah, and then I find, like, my younger kids, it's almost like they know what their body needs, where the
Right.
older ones will reject it a little bit more. So, like, my three-year-old, I can just hand him his vitamins, and he'll say thank you and just eat them, and the older kids will be like, "These taste yucky, I don't want them," and I'm like "Well, Paul will eat them, so you can eat them. They're not that bad. They're good."
Or you can say, "Too bad, if you like money and you wanna go to the movies with your friends, you should just take these vitamins or else you won't be going to the movies." Like, I think that parents are such pushovers, way too easy these days, and I'm like, "If you want your kid to be healthy, firm up." Like,
Yeah.
tell him, "No." Like, I'll give this example of when one time my son wouldn't eat something, and I think it might have been, like, broccoli or his vegetables, and, like, I honestly don't remember what happened, but I was like, "Go to your room." He might have been, like, 4. And I said, "Go to your room and don't come out until you're ready to eat it." And I after an hour and a half, I was, like, self-talking, like, "You're so mean, just give it a break, like, let the kid come out of the room," whatever. He came out, like, just when I was about to fold, and he said, "Fine." And he ate it, and he never complained ever again, and he did whatever I fed him. He ate.
Oh, that's
'Cause
awesome.
'cause you are
Good for you. Way to
like,
stick your guns, mama. There you
I'm just
go.
saying,
You
like,
won.
it folds.
No,
Wait
you're playing chicken all the time with the little ones. All the time. You're going playing chicken and whoever has the strongest will win. It's
sure.
that is motherhood. That's it right there in a nutshell.
You gotta show show 'em a little bit who's boss, and you just gotta get confident and tough enough in, like, what you're doing and hold out a little bit, and so, whether it's, like, money for a teenager, like, "Dude, swallow it, it's really not that hard," like
Yeah.
and I don't know if you know this, when you swallow vitamins in, like, this angle,
Mhm.
they go down so easy. So,
So my
um
best friend who just turned 51 never was able to swallow a pill in her life, and just recently in the last 3 months learned that little trick, and now she can finally swallow pills. She's like, "Check this out, Amy. As long as I lean my head forward, I can swallow." And I'm like, "Good job," because now she's on hormones and they make her feel so much better, but she's got big ol', like, progesterone pills to take, and so I'm so glad I know, that's the trick right there. Lean your
Right
head
there,
forward.
lead
Yeah,
forward. And,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of gummies, but there's 8 trillion kinds, and some of them don't have sugar. We have a probiotic for kids that's actually made out of fruit puree,
Mhm.
and there's no sugar in it. So there's things that people could do if they really can't swallow pills. There's liquids, there's powders, there's topicals, we have a lot of choices these days. But so I'm happy for your friend. I also, if she's taking a giant progesterone pill, I'm thinking maybe there's a cream she could rub in her forearms. I'm happy she could swallow, but I'm just saying, we use
Yeah, you're
progesterone
right.
cream around here.
I know, well, she should talk to you too. So we got 1, we got 2. What's 3?
3 is the real roadmap to all of your current health ailments and problems, and it is your scars, traumas, tattoos, piercings, biopsies, and dental work. And it could just be injuries, like if you fell and hit your shoulder, but there's no actual scar there, but if you hit it hard. So we always say that your nutritional status and emotional status at the time of the injury or trauma or piercing or tattoo dictate whether or not it becomes an ongoing problem. And so, like, if you're going through a divorce and you fall on your knee, it's probably going to become a long term problem. If you're happy as can be and you fall on your knee, it's like no big deal. It's probably going to heal faster. It's kind of like how we talk about your emotions store in your body. But if we explain it in terms of meridians, do you know the meridians of the body, right?
Yes,
So
the energy meridians we're talking about, yes.
yeah, so there's energy channels that run throughout your body that are specifically related to an organ or gland. So let's say you fall when you're 3 off like your bicycle or something and on the side of your leg. Now your gallbladder may have the gallbladder meridian may have a little dent in it. And so maybe it's working 99% efficiently. And then when you're 15, you get hit on the side of your leg by a baseball or a softball in practice, like really hard, and now your gallbladder is like 98% because these meridians are all over the body and weird. I don't know who designed this system, but it's like the freeways in LA. They don't make sense. So the meridians like run up the leg, across the body, over the ear, like for the same organ. So if you get hit over here by something, it could be the gallbladder or the liver again. So by the time you've had 5 or 15 traffic jams or dents in your car or your body, right? Like your body is your car, you end up when you're 30, 40, or 50 with a health problem. It's because where there's a dent in the energy, in the meridian, energy will stop flowing. And then nutrition will stop going there. And then your body will be like, this is like a dead zone. Why don't we make this a garbage can? So it stores. So, first of all, there's like detours, like around a C section. There's a detour, the body goes around it. And then so that's one issue, it doesn't heal it that well, and the second issue is now it stores waste and toxins, and bacteria and junk. So now people are like, after a C-section, because it's always most women, it's like all their problems started after their kids, is what I usually hear. And so it's because
Yeah,
either
I've
the
seen
yeah,
that a lot. I've really seen that a lot with especially my friends who've had cesareans. Lots of
yeah.
issues post.
Right,
Yeah.
and so I see almost every woman that I see, well, I will say every woman that I see or have seen in my clinic that has a child, 99.5% of them have a delivery scar. And so that scar, then now you have this like newborn that you have to care for. You're not eating, you're not sleeping, you're not you're not having enough food, you're stressed out, you're emotional. And especially with a C-section, you've had major surgery and you don't have time to heal and repair because you're carrying, lifting, bending, twisting, nursing, giving away your nutrition. So if you're not replacing nutrition, you're not going to heal well from it. And so what we have is one of the things that I like, the backbone of what I use in my clinic and with people is called QRA. It's called quantum reflex analysis. So what that means is that someone's headache is coming from somewhere else. Right? So you mentioned it with your kid, you might ask them, "Does their head hurt?" Well, I had a woman whose head, she had such bad migraines, she was a mom. If she had a migraine on this side, we discovered it was from her liver, and on this side, her kidney. So we
Huh.
had it was reflexing from. So when we do the energy testing, we can diagnose not only is the head off, but where is it coming from? So we tap on the kidney and see, does the head go off? Does the head go weak? Like, and so that's what helps us get full permanent healing, because you could just take stuff for a migraine and it may or may not work, right? Most people lay down and take the rest of the day off. But when we can hone in on it, we can heal it. And the real root of neck and shoulder and back pain for women that have had a C-section is usually the C-section. There's a whole website. I think it's called like c-sectionscars.com or something. They have published research that like 83% of women who have had a C-section complain of back, neck, or shoulder pain. It's reflexing too because of these meridians, or because of all your unique scars and traumas that you've had over your life. Your newest scar may shut down this part of your body where someone else's may shut down that because of all of the traumas. So, and with the mouth, there's no blood supply in the gums, and there's also no lymph pump. So if you've had injections to do fillings or cavities or root canals or implants or pulled teeth, you now have like toxins or drugs literally still in your gums. We have to pump and massage that out, or pump and massage the lymph to get it out. Otherwise, that becomes a problem. And so even when someone got a root canal, we often find that tooth might reflex to and shut down the intestines. Or we might find that a trauma to the back of the head reflects to that tooth. So even though they got the root canal, they're still having problems. And it's because they never addressed the back of the head, like where they fell, like snow and falling, like snowboarding, gymnastics, skiing, all the fun things, like, right? Like
Mhm.
skateboarding. Like if you fall and hit your tailbone, it's likely that your nervous system gets out of whack often. And the root problem is your tailbone, and you sit
I
on it.
did that. I did that so bad. Oh my god, in 2019. Whoop. It
Yeah.
was bad.
So, I think it's still off, actually. I can read it energetically, but it doesn't s it seems like most of your spine is on, but maybe just the area around the tailbone. And so then when you sit, every time you sit, your nervous system gets a little weaker or tired. Yesterday, I had an 81-year-old client here, and she said she came in, like, a couple of days before to buy something, and she's like, "I have terrible reflux." And I've told her this, like, twice before. She doesn't have reflux. Her tailbone is off, and it shuts down her nervous system, the occipitals, and when her nervous system is off, she gets reflux. And so we did the energy testing on her yesterday, and I think she's, like, grasping it and getting it, and I'm like, "You have to sit on a pillow with a hole in the middle, so your tailbone is not getting compressed when you sit in the chair." Think of how many times we get up, down, up, down, up, down, like, you get in the car, you sit, it's like you're, like, sitting on that tailbone again, and it's like sending a signal to shut down your occipitals and your brain and your nervous system. And
Yeah,
the
I I
So the
finally I had to get a purple pillow for my car, purple pillow cushion to sit on because I was so uncomfortable. It was the only thing that made it feel better. Now it finally, like 6 years later, it feels better, but you're probably right. I mean, I really never addressed it. I kinda just let it do its thing.
Yeah, and so that which is great that it stopped being an issue. You figured something out, it stopped being an issue. That's pretty traditional for people. Sometimes people never figure it out, but you figured it out, it stopped being an issue. But if you were to show up in my office in like 2 or 3 more years and you still didn't address that, like it's possible something else is now problematic. And then we would trace it back to the tailbone. So now I really just test everybody's tailbone and everyone's teeth and mouth because what was happening with the teeth, and it was like one person after the next, this woman's like, "No matter what I eat, I don't feel good after." And so it's because
Mm.
she's chewing. Keep saying I do energy testing, so we have her body, her intestines test strong, her liver, her kidneys, etcetera, and I say, "Go like this," like 3 or 4 times, like you're chewing, everything shuts off, none of the organs are on. Like, just from so even after talking with you for an hour, if I was that person, like, my intestines wouldn't be working. Like, how crazy is that?
Wow, that's wild. Well, with our bodies are all connected, and like a lot of what you're talking about too, I was thinking about fascia with those scars, they're now saying that the fascia is part of the energy system of the body, that the energy moves through the fascia. So you cut through a huge swath of the body fascia that way. No wonder these women are having issues.
Yes, it's like
Yeah.
that C-section or
Yeah.
trauma, falling, and so
Yeah.
it for my initial paperwork, I have people draw on a couple of pictures of bodies, like, mark where you've had traumas, injuries, and most people don't even remember some, but as we start to peel away and heal them, they remember a few more. Some are more significant than others. It depends on your nutritional status, your emotional status at the time. It depends on where on the body and how traumatic it was, like elective surgery versus not, and did you sleep and nourish and heal after? Like most of the time, um, boob scars and boob scars almost always test off on their right, on their you, because that's where the liver and the gallbladder are, not always on the left. Dental infections usually reflects to the boobs, so breast cancer is almost always comes from the teeth. Almost always. I've not seen a case where it doesn't, but I'm just gonna say almost always. So,
Wow.
uncared for in the mouth becomes long like 3, 5, 10, 15 years later, breast cancer be and if you look at it now with the 3 steps, if there's infection in the mouth, the detox system is constantly working to try to detox something, and so it's using so much energy dealing with that, it's not healing some other part of you, and it's just an ongoing underlying either infection or stress in the body, and that stress actually raises the cortisol. So think about all the women here looking to heal menopause or perimenopause. Like if you have a constant underlying stress, it is making you secrete more cortisol. And the stress meaning from a dental or a tailbone or a spinal fall. And now if it was a fall, you might have injured the fascia, and between the cortisol and the fascia, now you're having menopausal issues, and it's super problematic. And you go to the average doctor, they test your hormones, and then they give you pills, and that's it. Like they're not actually like trying to fix anything. They're just band-aiding away, which is fine to a certain extent, but it doesn't. This is why aging is the name of what happens to people as they get older. They have more problems versus to me, anti-aging is you heal the traumas and in order to heal the tailbone or in order to heal the mouth. So we usually use mud therapy. Mud therapy is exactly like it sounds. I have courses on my website so people could do it for really inexpensive. And it walks you through all the different kinds inside the mouth and topical. Mud sounds just like it is. It's like a mud pack. I meant to bring a picture so I could have showed you, but I don't think I brought a picture of it. It's a mud pack, and you can literally put it like on your jawbone topically, just like you were outside playing in the mud. You put it on your jawbone, and it pulls 50% of the toxins out in one pack. And what we do is we like really poke and stimulate the area before we do the mud, so that whatever's on the deepest layer of tissue, the mud is like a magnet and it like pulls it to the surface. So at least 50% comes out when you take the mud off, and some will end up in circulation. That's why we need to make sure you poop after. We need to send it through the whole detox system. And that's why healing your scars and traumas comes after we start balancing your detox system, because in order to do the healing of the scars, you're going to detox more. And if your liver is like no vacancy, I don't have any room, or your kidneys, then when we do this, you're going to feel worse because now it's going to get stuck at your liver. You're going to be even more angry or even more depressed. So we got to get the assembly line flowing. And then once it starts flowing, then we start one by one figuring out which scars and traumas are causing your current chief complaints. And those are the ones we work with first. We do mud therapy to pull the heavy metals out and undo the traffic jams. We also have a technique called scar release, which is microcurrent, and that goes, it's like a little zzz, zzz, and it puts electrons back into the scar tissue, which brings them back to life and makes them more supple instead of hard. So we do either or both to, it depends on. Mud therapy is like more detoxy and more complicated and more of a process, and people feel detoxed after. Like an hour of mud therapy is like 6 months of detoxing. It's pretty powerful. Um,
Wow. Well, I have had an experience. I love mud, and when I was in Costa Rica, I brought my I don't know why, I just had my first aid mud with me, and a friend of mine actually got stung by a bullet ant in the jungle on her hand. She basically put her hand right on a bullet ant, and that's like one of the most painful stings there is. We were at a hot spring and they had mud there, and I made a pack from the mud, put it on her. I was like, "Come with me. We're going to do this right now." We put it
yeah.
on there and the pain was gone for her within about 30 minutes. Basically, you're right. The mud takes and pulls the poison, toxin, whatever it is, out through the skin and into the mud itself, and that really does work. It works for bee stings. It's what I do if my kids get bee stings too. I keep my mud in the my first aid mud in the house just in case, because there's so many kids. There's always going to be something. But yeah, I think mud is totally a way to detox and pull things out of your body. 100%.
I love
Love
that you
it.
an emergency mud kit. Good for you.
It works.
With the hands, think of like down dog in yoga, like we say send energy into the earth or pull energy out of the earth. The hands and the feet are what we call the downloads. And so it's great that that was on our hand and that it works so well. Like if it was on the arm, it might not have worked if there was like traffic jams in here, because you might have had to do more to get it to go out. So on the subtle energy body, everything leaves through the hands and feet. Um, so there's a lot of different ways we use
S
the mud therapy.
Cool.
Like we actually, if you did mud right here, we usually do the corresponding spot on the opposite limb. So this would be like the back of the shin just below the knee. We test it to make sure sometimes it's not the exact same spot, but when in doubt, it's like if there's a problem here or it hurts and you wanna do mud therapy, you do
Mhm.
one pack here and one on the back of the calf or just below the knee at the same time, and it's like 5 to 10 minutes at most, a mud pack. You pull it off, I mean, unless there's, like, poison or unless you know that it needs to stay longer, and it's pretty instant, amazing healing. So I scoured the internet and I could not find one mud therapy course, so I made about 10. And so
Yay.
now I'll have, because it's so powerful. Like, I don't remember if you said it in my introduction, but I reversed my cellular age to a 12-year-old, like telomeres. Before anyone knew what a telomere was, the lay people, like the average person. I did this like 10 years ago and maybe 13 years ago. It was test twice to a 12-year-old. And I have like all kinds of fancy like equipment and stuff now. We have about 15 pieces of equipment here, but I did it before I had any of those. And I did it with
Wow.
steps 1, 2, and 3 that we just described. I did a lot of mud therapy. I made sure that my detox system was working, and I changed my custom nutrition program like monthly or every 6 weeks, and I had all my stuff remediated with EMF, and I did the lab test, and I was 12.
Wow, that's amazing. So for the girls who don't know what telomeres are, the ends of your DNA, you know how the double helix, the very ends of your DNAs are the telomeres. And as you age, your telomeres basically they kind of
Shrank.
come
They
they come
shrink
undone.
shorter.
They
Yep,
shrink.
come on
Yeah,
down.
they shrink.
Think of it like the tip of your shoelace for your sneaker where there's, like, tape around it, and then the longer you had it, the tape comes off and the thing is shredded, like, it's kinda like your telomere. And
Yeah,
so
so
the
you can
present
tell yeah, somebody's real age, your biological age is really how what good shape the ends of your shoelaces are in. If you got really good nice end shoelace ends of your shoelaces, you're nice and young
Right.
basically on the D as a in a DNA sense. So that is pretty impressive. 12 years old, that's like really good.
I was, like, 43, I think, at the time, and so, we had, like, a 12 my it was my birthday, and we made, like, a 12-year-old birthday party just to be silly. But, um, the main point is that the sticker on the device, taking good, clean nutrients that my body needed, not what someone said on a textbook, and then doing the right mud therapy, and I can explain that in a second, but, like, that's all I needed, like, Brian Johnson, has $800 million. He's lowering his age. Dave Asprey, probably he's like 30, I think, now in his telomeres, but they have $8 trillion of equipment. Like, I do have equipment, but I just want people to know I did it without equipment. Like, you can do it, it's not that expensive. And so with mud therapy, I have people do fingers and toes, and then I have them do hands and feet, and then your main detox organs. Then you can get into your scars and traumas, but, like, even if you don't get to the scars and traumas, you're gonna feel a million times better. And the reason we do toes and fingers is because I've worked with someone's numerous, but someone specific is where I first was like, "Oh my gosh." We did all the stuff for all of her intestines, and then she came in and she looked like she was 6 months pregnant. She's a yogi and she does Pilates and she's barefoot all the time. 6 of her toes were reflexing to and shutting down her small intestine. How would you
Wow.
know unless you checked for that? And that's why you could just mud your fingers and toes just to make sure that's not you, unless you know someone that can do the testing on you.
Wow, that's so cool. That is really, really cool. I love that, Julie. So let's get into the 5 hours with your head on the pillow rule that changed my life. Why is uninterrupted sleep such a major trigger for healing and hormone balance?
Well, there are at least 5 glands in the head. And so your glands are like the conductors, your organs do the work. So your organs are like the band, but the glands tell everything what to do. And so if you're here for 4 hours and you lift your head, your glands are now awake and they're like, we didn't get rejuvenated enough. We need 5 hours. So we call it 5 hours of head pillow contact. So as soon as you like sometimes I kind of keep most of my head down and I might go like that, and I'm like, "I think I'm moving slow. I feel like, my body is still asleep, and I might, like, wanna roll over," right? You could roll this way. I don't know why once in a blue moon, I catch myself, and I'm like, "What am I doing? Keep your head this." You gotta keep it down. 5 straight hours, your glands rejuvenate, and so the hypothalamus, which regulates all of your hormones, all of your female stuff, all of your intestines, the pituitary, which is also known as your third eye. And they say that no matter how much you sleep, if you're exhausted, the pituitary is usually infected or under stress. And the pineal gland, which regulates your sleep wake cycle, which is also kind of just like in the forefront of the head. And like the pineal gland, if we wanna go into, like, dark versus or evil, like, which we won't, but, like, their goal is to harden the pineal gland so you have less intuition. So, the
To
more we
calcify it, right?
calcify it, yes, to harden it, calcify it. So, we do light therapy on the nose or on the pineal gland to soften it, but, and you can probably tap on it, but you have all of these glands. There's the amygdala, there's a couple of other glands. As soon as you lift your head, they're awake. And if you lay back down, they have to start all over again for 5 hours to, like, really rejuvenate the way they regulate and the way they conduct the rest of your body. And I learned this a long time ago from a mentor, and it was, like, made so much sense to me because if you lay in bed wide awake for 5 hours, if you really can't fall asleep, I have actually felt better than if I slept for 4, got up, and slept for 4.
Yeah,
The
me
key
too. I It's the next level. It's the most amazing thing because here I am. I'm 46, almost 47, perimenopausal with 2 toddlers. My sleep is, if they're not waking me up, I was waking me up. So, and I wasn't keeping my head on the pillow for 5 hours in a row. I'd get up, if my body woke up, I'd get a drink of water. I'm thirsty. Oh, I have to pee. But now I go, no, you can do it. 5 hours. Like, keep your head on the pillow, you can wait, you can sleep for 5 hours and keep your
yeah,
head down for 5
and
hours,
give
and it
yourself
has
that much love.
totally
So
changed. 3 months since you taught me that, and it's been
it
amazing. Really so cool.
it's such a game changer, and everyone thinks that they're waking up to pee, but you're not. Because think about it, when you're this way, your bladder has all this pressure, but when you're this way, there's like no pressure on the bladder. We can hold 10 times more fluid horizontal. So we're not waking up to pee, but the second we're awake, we think we have to. The circadian rhythm of your organs while you're asleep is such that, like, I mentioned this with my kid, right? 3 to 4 is liver, 4 to 5 is gallbladder. And so when you wake up, I think of it this way. I have like a silly example. There are little minions running around your body with 2 by 4s and nails. And we eat, exercise, do all the stuff, and we go to sleep to rest and repair. And so they're doing the repair work while we're asleep. And the deeper sleep you're in, the more repair work or the more efficient they do it. But if they run out of nails or 2 by 4s, they're like, "Ah," and they're running out, freaking out. And that activity is what wakes you up. And so the second you open your eyes, you're like, you just feel you have to go pee because what else are you feeling? Like you're not really thinking of anything or feeling anything else yet. But if you keep, I have people keep supplements on their nightstand or in their nightstand, like lined up, like 3 bottles, something for 3 a.m., something for 4, something for 5. And if you could not lift your head, and even I recommend you do this phone I have it on where it just goes to like black and white. But I have on my personal phone, this is the clinics, on my personal phone, I have it go red. Like there's a setting in accessibility. So if you have your phone like face down and you're not sure what time it is and you're like, okay, I'm a little bit awake, head on the pillow and you're like, I'm kind of awake, like I need to take something to go back to sleep. You could try tapping or breath work or something and you're like, it still looks pretty dark. Or I try not even to open my eyes. I'm like, is it bright? Is it dark? So I might like just tap on my phone. I try to block like all the lights so I could just see, is it a 3, 4, or 5? And then I'm like, okay, I reach into my nightstand. I have them in order. And I'm like, well, it's 3. So I open the bottle. I keep my head down. And then I have a tall bottle of water on the floor and I pick it up and I sip it. And the next thing I know, it's like 7 or 8 o'clock or whatever time I'm setting my alarm. And if you can do that, it's amazing. And if you're waking up at that hour, listen to the what your body's saying. It's saying your liver needs extra support every day for the next 3 to 5 days. So once you do get up, you make sure you take B vitamins, turmeric, NAC, glutathione, whatever your normal liver support is. And if you don't know, I have that on my website. But so then you make sure you take enough so that the next night you sleep through the night. And if you're smart, after I explain that scenario with my child, you give yourself something for 4 and 5 a.m. also, just so you just sleep through. And
Yeah. I
is
think I've been more like a 4. I used to be a 3, and now I think it's more like 4 in the mornings when I'm waking up, and it's just so annoying. It's my
So
gallbladder.
4 is gallbladder, which is the organ of fear, and,
Mhm.
if as I was saying earlier, if your intestines are backed up or your kidneys, it can back up to your gallbladder. So I don't know yet, if I tested you thoroughly, I can tell you, but we all women when I was in grad school studying nutrition and public health, we learned this disease called the 4 Fs, and it was female, fair, 40, and fat. And if you had 3 of those, they would guarantee you would take your gallbladder out. And, like, I didn't understand it because I was, like, 20 something, and I didn't get it until I was becoming 40, and I was like, "Oh my god, when women are 40, they've had babies, they've had C-sections and scars, they're not sleeping because of their kids, they don't they it's, like, almost like midlife where you're like, you don't have to stress about what am I gonna be when I grow up, but you're also kinda like, you know, some people are like, "Where am I in life?" That whole midlife, so there's
You're
fear,
in transition for sure. Yeah. There's a
right?
transition phase or in your 40s for sure. Oh my god, I do. My ex-mother-in-law had her gallbladder removed in her 40s. I remember when they took her gallbladder out, I was 20 something and she was 40 something. Wow. Yeah, you're right. Holy moly.
So if you're fair-skinned, you're female and you're
She
40,
was.
and then if you're
Yeah.
fat, for sure, they wanna take it out, but I've seen people have come to me, they're like, "Oh, they took my gallbladder out." I'm like, "Why did you let them? It's like $50,000 and now you can't eat or digest certain things, like, we could have
Yeah.
healed it on, like, $1,000 or, like, 100, you know?" And so, anyway, wherever there's a medical I always tell people, like, if your audience is listening and they are more interested in health than medicine, it's wellness now or illness later. So you might as well spend the less money and feel good now, and then you're going to prevent spending a lot of money and being in a hospital later. That's one way to look at it. And the second thing is like, if you really love yourself, take good care of yourself and you're worth it. And you can spend some money on your supplements and taking care of yourself. Like, I don't think, health is wealth. I have a friend who's in the money business and we went to the prom together. We were like younger friends. And this past 3 years, he has been so sick and
Mm.
he does not want to do health. He was like fully medical model. And I was like, doesn't matter how much money you have, if you don't have your health, he spend all his time doctor hopping. And I'm like, well, I can help you if you want, but he didn't really want that. So
Yeah, my
just
grandpa used to say you can put it into to food bills or you can put it into medical bills. This was my dad's dad. And I always thought, he never had a cavity in his entire life. And they
amazing.
were poor, like living in East LA. He was a dishwasher, first generation immigrants from Mexico. And my father never had a cavity. And it's, good food nutrition is it's a real basic human thing that we need if you wanna have your health, you've gotta have good nutrition.
It's the
And
currency for your health, you know,
yes.
for your body.
Yeah.
And
Yes. I know.
you
Yeah.
yeah, it's just you are what you eat and how you eat it and how you're stressed out and you are your environment. So again, like, I just remember when my son was a baby or little, he was in preschool. Someone wanted to have a play date, so he went after school to their house, and when I went to pick him up, it was, like, disgusting, like, disaster bomb, like, I was like, "I'm never letting my kid come back here again," like, people living like that, like, we've seen the stories on Oprah back in the day, hoarders get sick, they get weird diseases, so, like, it's also your environment too, so that's why when you walk in somewhere, you go, "Oh, it feels so good, I love it here," like, make your home homey so that you feel good in your environment. And that's kind of where the EMF thing comes in. And then that's your environment. So you're already going to feel better. And then you take care of your insides. And then what we're really doing at this age and as moms is we're undoing all the stuff that we did when we didn't know how to take care of it and we're doing it quicker for our kids so they don't have to show up in someone's office when they're 30 or 40 with health problems from a scar from when they were 4 because that's why I teach that's another reason why I teach the moms like the second your kid has an injury, castor oil or laser it or something like treat it right away, nourish them, vitamin C, maybe it's zinc, something we call nucleoimmune core olive, and, like, they won't have this stuff brewing in their body for the next 30 years, you
Oh my
know?
god, Julie, I'm gonna bring all the kids in because 'cause
We
I've got
have
2
to
with, like, serious scars from head injuries, and
right?
then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're speaking to me on a deep level right now. We gotta bring all the kids in, including Indy, she needs it too." Well, tell me about your mentorship program that you're launching in January. I'm super excited. Who's it for? What do you hope women to gain from it? Like, tell me about this.
I love that you just asked that because I was thinking that as right before you said it, it's like, "Oh, I should mention the mentorship program." Well, I've had this clinic for 26 years now. My kid is off in college, and I'm ready to broaden my horizons and expand, and I need people that can do what I do, and so I'm gonna teach them. I was like, "Well, if you wanted people that do what you do, teach them how to do it." So, starting in January, the first class will be January 16th. It's a 6-month program. It will meet once a month on Fridays in person, so that way people could travel if they're a little bit of a distance, or
And you're
fly.
in LA, right? You're in LA, so you're looking for people in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ideal person is like a younger practitioner that realizes that like I didn't know what I know now 25 years ago or 40 years ago. But today's younger practitioners that are someone that's like, I want to be amazing at healing people. That was my attitude. I was like, I'm going to be the best in the world. And I feel like I've mastered healing people. And now I want other practitioners that like really want to learn how to heal people. Like every single person that calls, every single person that walks in the door, I know what to do with. I'm not stumped. I was stumped like 20 years ago, but I'm not stumped anymore. And I want to teach people to do that. Some of them might be able to work in my clinic here. There's talk about opening clinics up with a couple of other people in other states and countries. So there's maybe opportunity for that, but that's what it is. It's one Zoom a month and one in person a month. So like about 3.5 to 4 hours a month. I feel like people will be able to go right back to their clinic or their office the next day and use what I teach them. I want it to be super easy. And if by the this is the first time I'm running it, so if by the end, people need more time, then I'll figure out, like, an ongoing something where we do something on Zoom because I don't wanna leave people hanging. I want people to learn what I know because that's how you build a legacy, right? Like, you can't not that I'm planning on and I am planning on living much longer, but, like, you don't wanna die with all of your goods, you need to share it and spread it, so I'm gonna teach people, like I said earlier in our talk, like, no one taught me anything. Like, the first time I got a convertible, I'm like, "Everyone, who wants to ride in a convertible?" Like, no one I never rode in a convertible when I was a kid or even a young adult. Now I'm like, "It's the best thing ever, you should come for a ride." Like, so I feel like that with my clinic, like, and with what I understand. So, like, I want everyone whoever wants to be this amazing, like, I wanna teach it to them.
I love it. So they can get information on your website about that, right?
It will be on the website any minute, a whole mentorship program.
Perfect.
Yes.
Amazing. And then for the listeners who feel overwhelmed by health information, what's one simple thing they can do today to start managing their health intentionally without getting lost in the noise?
There is a free tools page on my website that has 4 videos that are 2 minutes each, and I would start there, and we can close out with that. You just take your hands and rub them on your occipitals or scratch your occipitals and just breathe out. And we're on a computer, so there's no one in front of us, so breathe out as hard as you want. I call this the nervous system reset and scratch in between the occipitals towards like underneath the base of the head is the vagus nerve and just scratch like you're getting your hair washed and you can go a little higher wherever it feels good, but I want the focus and the attention to be on the nervous system and then breathe out a few more times and then when you're satisfied, relax your hands and just breathe out 1 or 2 more times and then we'll let you, Amy, tell us how you feel after you breathe out one more time.
So relaxed. Wow, I can feel it like all the way into my hands, like all the way from my hand, like head and down. Totally. Wow, I need to do that before I go to sleep at night. I love that.
It's your body, the operating system of the computer, the operating system of your body is the nervous system. If the operating system of the computer crashes, the computer won't work. And we talked about your tailbone, so you might as well keep talking about it. Tailbone's the base of your nervous system, and so if there's a little bit of where it's not on at all times or you're sitting on it putting pressure, when you do that, like it brings you back to how you're supposed to feel. Like we rest and digest instead of fight or flight. So now, like over the next couple of minutes, there's going to be more tingles and your body's actually going to start working. So it's really as easy as that was, is what I really want people to know. That's how easy healing is. And it's not as complicated as everyone else tells you. And if you're a mom, either start with yourself or start with one kid, but don't think you're going to change the whole family overnight. Like it's a process, take one step at a time. I really think the moms should focus on themselves because they always focus on their kids. And once you start to grasp, oh my God, this is how this works, then you start to integrate it into the family. Like you could say, everyone after they brush their teeth when they're all crazy before bed, like, okay, before we go to bed, we're all gonna just like rub and breathe out and set an intention for our sleep and or tomorrow and then drift off. Like find ways and assign one child like the task of doing that. And they'll be like, Mom, we have to do that thing. And
I
then you don't have to try to remember. They will tell you.
I love it. Yeah, it's my Indy, my 4-year-old. She's the taskmaster in the house, so I can always tell her she never forgets. She's always on it. I go, I'll tell Indy, I'll teach her how to do it. She's constantly like, "Can we do yoga? Let's meditate." Like all of
So
she's
cute. Because her name's Indy. She's like down to be like spiritual.
she she I looked over at her, she wasn't even 2 years old, and she saw the one of the Buddhas in the house, and she just started sitting in seated meditation with her eyes closed one day, and I'm like, "Whoa, okay, kid, like, next level, okay, what's happening here?" But yeah, this next generation of kids, they're pretty cool. So, Julie, thank you so much for reminding us that health isn't something we outsource. It's something we manage, just like every other system in our lives. To learn more, visit julieehealth.com and follow her on Instagram and YouTube at julieehealth. You'll find her educational portal, EMF protection tools, mentorship program, and links to her books on her website, the No Diet Diet, and her upcoming Touch for Health book. If this episode opened your eyes to new ways of managing your energy and your body, share it with another woman who needs to hear it. Subscribe to The Manager wherever you listen and join our community at themanager.com. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so
And
much.
thanks, Julie.